Karange in Nairobi, and we welcome our viewers in Kenya and around the world. This program takes a global and exclusive look at issues affecting public attitudes in politics, education, matters business, arts and culture. But first, let's take a look at some of the stories making news at this hour. And now, the 22nd Amendment of the United States Constitution, ratified in 1951, states no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And if someone takes over as president for 2 years or more, such as Vice President Gerald Ford stepped in after President Richard Nixon's resigned in 1973, they can then only be re-elected once. Moreover, these American presidents respect their constitution. However, when it comes to some African countries, the leaders stay in power for more than one term, for more than the term they are required, and will do almost anything to maintain that particular office. A good example would be Zimbabwe until just recently. Contaminated water and lack of basic sanitation are undermining the efforts to end extreme poverty and disease in the world's poorest countries. Currently, there are 2.3 billion people worldwide who still do not have basic sanitation facilities such as toilets, according to the UNICEF Joint Monitoring Program for Water Supply and Sanitation. At least 1.8 billion people worldwide are estimated to drink water that is not protected against contamination from feces. An even greater number drink water which is delivered through a system without adequate protection against sanitary hazard. And now the latest available estimates indicates that about 795 million people in the world, just over in 9, were undernourished in 2014 to 2016. That means 1 in 9 people do not get enough food to be healthy and lead an active life. This has resulted to hunger and malnutrition being in fact the #1 risk to health worldwide, becoming even greater than AIDS, malaria and tuberculosis combined. So now let's just cross over to what we'll be discussing today, and our focus will be on matters politics. And what you're asking the program today is, what is your take on African leaders staying in power? We'll be getting to unpack this particular topic in just a short while. We'll be getting to understand the reason why African leaders stay in power for long and why they do not adhere to the rule of law. And of course, we also have our reporter on the ground who has been covering this particular story for us. We have Patricia Muriuki, who is our reporter on the ground. So, Patricia, just what do you have for us in regards to this particular topic? What are people saying on the ground in regards to, African leaders staying in power for long? What sentiments have you been able to gather for us there, Patricia?
Politics and power has caused a lot of havoc in African countries, with most leaders reluctant to step down when their time comes to an end. Today we took it to the streets of Nairobi to get to hear what are the views and thoughts of the citizens on this matter.
Okay, this is a thing that has been happening for a couple of times in African nations, and this has really discouraged the young people who want to exercise power and at least change the way things run in the economy of the nation.
Do you think these affect probably the economy of a nation?
Yes, it does, because when somebody is elected to be the president of a nation, they have a particular objective, and when they fail to do that in the first term of their leadership, it doesn't mean that when you add extra years it will change. Mm-hmm. In fact, it becomes even worse because these people are so relaxed. After all, they'll just get another chance to be in that position.
What do you think can be done to make sure that political leaders in Africa are willing to step down when their time elapses?
I think what can be done is their duration they are given is limited, and then there's a contract they can sign and be willing to adhere to it.
So what do we do to leaders who are not willing to step down, even if the constitution says that they should serve probably for like 5 or 4 years? Because it's something that we've seen in different countries.
That's why I'm saying a contract will be good, because if they sign, they have agreed, they have accepted. After 4 years, they are willing, they will step down. That contract can be used. If they don't want to step down, they can be taken to the court, and it can be a case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing your opinion with us.
So just break it down for us. What exactly does it mean? What exactly does it mean, and how did the country's economy go down? And what does it mean exactly when African leaders staying in power for long in terms of economy going down? Patricia?
Thank you very much, Doreen. So, as we've heard from one of the citizens, being in power for a very long time or exceeding the time that you're supposed to be there really affects the economy of a country. And this is affecting in a way that during this time, there are things that are supposed to be achieved. If someone is not a good leader and they have served for 4 or 5 years and they continue doing so, it means that their power or their concentration is on the wrong things, and this makes sure that the economy of the country is dragged down, because probably people have had to take a lot, very big loans that also have not been paid for. And also, even when they're leaving these positions for other people, it is a struggle for the next leader to make sure that they bring back the economy together, or they fight all the mischievous things that had happened at that time to make sure that the economy is stable again.
Alright, remember what we had asked you today was, what is your take on African leaders staying in power? And of course, you can send in your views and comments at Doreen Arange on our Twitter handle, Doreen Arange on Facebook. And I just have here one comment from Brian, who says that, I think that African leaders should just respect the rule of law and not do anything to stay in power. And of course, you can be part of this conversation by sending in your comments and views, and I shall be sampling some of these comments as we move along with this broadcast. But before I do that, let's just cross over to our opinion leaders who will be helping us demystify this particular topic. And so now I'm joined in by 3 gentlemen: Moses Ochieng, who is a political enthusiast. I'm also joined by Ram Abuko, who is a TV presenter as well as a political enthusiast, and Wycliffe Gori, who is a TV producer and also a political analyst. So again, thank you again, gentlemen, for coming in. So Moses, we are talking about African leaders staying in power for long, and that is what you are asking our viewers on the program. So your take: is there a time when African leaders will actually adhere to the constitution to a point that they refrain from staying in power for long, just being able to be content with the term limits in which has been specified in the constitution? So what are your thoughts? Are we ever going to get to a point where they'll just, stay in power until the time when they're supposed to be in power?
Adrica is a strange continent. And to answer your question, I don't think there is any such time when African leaders will adhere to what is written to their constitutions. And I'm a strong believer that the only people who are going to liberate Africa are the young people. History has demonstrated, time without number, that it is the young people who always provide the means through which societies are transformed. And if we really want to transform Africa, then it is the young people who must rise to the occasion.
All right, Moses, so just crossing now over to Ram, who is a TV presenter as well as a political enthusiast. Now, Ram, what is so sweet or good about being in power? Like are there many benefits that result to these leaders staying in power for long? Because oftentimes, after their term limits, they will do anything, if not alter the constitution or things like that, for them to just be in power for long. So really, what other benefits come with this being in power, especially for these African leaders?
Power is not something that nobody hates. Everyone likes power. And that is the reason why there is always a debate about who is in charge of what, who has this role, who has that role, because everyone wants to know what their power is. The debate about who is the head of the family, who is the head of this state. Each and every person likes power. If you are given an authority, how they use it. So power is good. What matters is it being used in the right way.
Okay. And do supporters in any way contribute to this by making their leaders believe in themselves too much? Do they in any way contribute to these leaders being in power for more than they are expected to be?
Now, when it comes to supporters and leadership, it is all about the pride factor. Because if a supporter gives a leader responsibility, you are giving that leader responsibility because you trust them. Now, I would not blame put blame so much on any specific person, but I would say that each and every individual has a role and responsibility to uphold. If you give someone powers, then it is you to know this kind of a person, is he trustworthy or not? Sometimes it may not be possible to know such kind of things on the first stage, but it is possible to know them through the things that they do, through the kind of policies that they want to put in place, through the way they speak. You will know a proud person when you see them talk, when you hear them talk. Because when people who are proud get into power, then their pride will put them down. And sometimes you also have the knowledge that if at all you are a leader and then you go out there and then you vie for a political seat and then the people give you that power, and then when you go there things are different from what you expected, then I think the result will still be the same: disappointment. So I will not say the supporters are to be blamed. Supporters give people power. It is something called democracy. It is the people who give leaders power. So it's upon the people to know, who are we giving our power to?
Okay, Ram, so let's just cross over to Wycliffe Gori, who is a TV producer as well as a political analyst. So Gori, are political parties becoming any stronger than individuals? Because when you look at the case of Zimbabwe and South Africa, it was this political parties that actually pushed these leaders in these different parts, to step down from power. So are we moving on to an era whereby political parties are becoming stronger than these individuals? Break it down for us.
Well, it is true that political parties are becoming stronger than individuals in Africa, because the history that we've had is a particular person who maybe starts a party becomes the supreme owner of that party and decides everything. So he is the person who's going to run for the presidential seat, and then he dictates everything. But the current activities that are going on, especially if you focus in Zimbabwe and South Africa, you realize that most of these people who have been there for so long in power have been unearthed by their very parties that maybe they started them, or maybe they got into them and then they got so powerful. So the reason why this is happening is that a wave of constitutional changes that have been made in Africa, so that Africa can become a bureaucratic continent, so to speak, is what has driven this force. So you'll realize that for you to be a president, for example, you must have a political party that supports you. It's a constitutional requirement. So that's the reason why the party being strong becomes a critical aspect of one being a president or an individual ascending to power. So all said and done, for political parties are becoming stronger than the individuals in Africa.
All right, thank you again, gentlemen, for just breaking down this topic for us of African leaders staying in power. So I can just read one comment from Facebook where Karen Jisa says that, I agree with Moses that it's actually the young people who are more idealistic and the ones who can change the political situation in Africa. All right, so that's all we had for you on the program today. But just before I close the show, I'd like to give, my opinion regards to this African leaders staying in power. And what I think is that really, just like, one of our opinion leaders has said that it's actually the younger generation who can help change this political situation in African countries. And I hope that we can get to an era whereby African leaders can just stay in power until the time when they're expected to be in power, and more so also just leave, these opportunities and these, spaces for young people who are more visionary, more idealistic to take up these positions. And all right, that's all we had for you on the program again. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Doreen Arange. Till next time, stay blessed.